Hello, it's Professor Asma Parveen from Department of Psychology, Aligarh Muslim University. Today I will be talking about some other study designs that are commonly used in quantitative research. Quantitative research involves various study design that we use commonly, and one of the such design is survey research, where information is collected from a group of people through a series of questions. Another type is online surveys, where participants answer questions electronically. Next study type that is commonly used in quantitative research is crossover comparative experimental design, which compares multiple groups of participants and measures the effects of different variables on each group. This allows researchers to analyze the impact of these variables. And to ensure the accurate results, we use blind studies in the quantitative research. In these studies, participants are unaware of group assignment or the treatment they are receiving. This helps to eliminate the bias. Next category of research is double blind studies. In double blind studies, we ensure that even the researchers do not know which group is receiving which treatment. This additional measure reduces bias and enhances the reliability of the findings. Now, I will discuss all the methods separately in detail. First method is survey study design, and it is a valuable tool for gathering information without the need for experiments. It involves using standardized questionnaires or interviews to collect data from a large group of people. This method, known as descriptive research, is commonly used in social sciences to study specific populations. Surveys can be conducted through face to face interviews or by gathering opinions on various topics. By utilizing this method, we are able to gain insights and understand trends within a given population. Survey research design is used by researchers to gather information from a large group of people, and by asking individuals a series of questions, researchers are able to collect data and identify patterns. This type of research is commonly employed in psychology and sociology to study human behavior and thoughts. Surveys offer a fast and efficient way for researchers to obtain a wealth of information. However, it is important to know that for the survey questions should be clear and unbiased. Additionally, researchers must carefully consider the sample size and ensure that it accurately represents the entire group being studied. These measures guarantee the accuracy and reliability of the results obtained through survey research design. So, survey research design is a tool that helps us to gather information and insights into the human behavior. There are certain steps that are involved in conducting survey research, and the first step is the goals and objectives of the study must be determined. This involves analyzing and evaluating the areas or issues that need to be studied and clearly defining the purpose of the research. By establishing focused aims and objectives, the researchers can ensure that their research is relevant and understandable. The next step is to define population. This specific group of people or population or objects should have at least one common characteristic that will guide the research process. So, by selecting a sample from the population, the researchers can narrow down their focus and gather more meaningful data. Once the population is identified, the next step is to design a survey. This involves creating a questionnaire or interview format that will be used to collect data from the participants. It is important for the researchers to carefully consider the design of the survey and select the appropriate instrument, such as a telephone interview or face to face interview. To ensure the effectiveness of the chosen instrument, a pilot study should be conducted. And this small scale survey or pilot study helps the researcher to evaluate the significance and relevance of the selected instruments for the main investigation. Fourth step is we must select a representative sample from the population, and this must be as representative that mirrors the larger population. This means choosing individuals who share similar characteristics to the overall population. By doing so, we can confidently utilize the survey results to gain insights into the entire population. Once we have identified our sample group, the next step is to administer the survey. That is, we can distribute the questions to the sample participants. This step involves providing the selected individuals with the survey and allowing them to respond. Their answers will contribute to the data we collect for analysis. After collecting all the necessary data, we move on to the next step of analyzing and understanding the results. To accomplish this, we employ various statistical tools to thoroughly examine the data. Through this analysis, we can interpret the findings based on the information provided by the data. This step includes coding the data and processing it in different ways to obtain a comprehensive understanding of the gathered information. After completing the data analysis and interpretation, we move on to the step 7, that is making the report. This report serves as a comprehensive overview of the entire research, including the goals, objectives, data analysis, interpretation, and discussion of the results. It is in this step that the researcher evaluates how well the findings align with the original goals and objectives of the research. Once the report is complete, step 8 involves sharing the findings with the target group. This step is considered the most important in conducting a survey. Not only does it allow the researcher to communicate the results to the intended audience, but it also serves as a means of documenting the findings for future research in the same field. By assessing the impact of the survey results on the target group, the researcher can make recommendations for decision making or suggest certain policies based on the findings. Constructing a survey. When we are doing a survey research, we must carefully design a plan for collecting data or for conducting a survey research. This involves making decisions about what questions to ask and how to ask them. There are two main methods to choose from: using a questionnaire or conducting interviews. Regardless of the method chosen, it is crucial that the questions are clear and capable of eliciting a response. The survey instruments used in the research process play a vital role, so it is important that the questions should be concise and specific. Once the research plan has been established, the researcher proceeds to create the survey instrument by formulating the questions. Several factors need to be considered during this process. First, the researcher must determine the focus and goal of each question. Secondly, they must select the most appropriate format for the response, such as a Likert scale or multiple choice. Additionally, careful consideration must be given to the wording of the questions in order to obtain the desired response. Lastly, the series of questions should be organized in a way that maximizes response rates and creates favorable conditions for the survey. In addition to these technical considerations, the researchers must also approach the preparation of the questions with sensitivity and respect. It is essential to take into account the moral values and ethics of the respondents in order to ensure the best possible results from the survey. By being mindful of these factors, the researchers can create an environment that encourages honest and thoughtful responses. Ultimately, the success of a survey research hinges on the careful planning and execution of the survey instrument, as well as the ethical considerations taken into account throughout the process. There are different types of questions that we use in survey research, and the types of questions used are crucial to the success of this study. There are two main types of survey questions: structured and unstructured. Structured questions have a pre planned and predefined format, such as dichotomous questions, level of measurement based questions, and filter or contingency questions. Dichotomous questions only have two possible responses, like yes or no, true or false. These questions are presented in a specific format in the questionnaire, allowing participants to easily choose from responses. For example, a structured question could ask if a university library has an electronic database system with options for yes or no. Surveys also use different levels of measurement to gather data, and the first level that is used in surveys is called nominal level of measurement, which is based on names and classifications. This means that the numbers used in the responses only represent the order of the options and do not indicate any preference or ranking. For example, if respondents are asked to choose their favorite color from the list, the numbers assigned to each color would only show the order in which they were listed. The second level of measurement that is used in surveys is ordinal level, which is based on ranks and preferences. In this type of question, respondents are asked to rank options based on their preference. For example, they might be asked to rank ice cream from most tasty to least tasty. The numbers assigned to each option in this case would reflect the ranking, showing which option is considered the most preferred and which is the least preferred. Lastly, there are filter or contingency questions which help narrow down the survey based on previous responses. These questions ensure that respondents are directed to relevant section of the survey based on their previous answers, making the survey more efficient and tailored to individual respondents. The third level of measurement scale that we are using in survey is the interval scale of measurement, which involves rating choices. The Likert response scale is commonly used for this type of questions where respondents rate options on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 or 1 to 9. For example, they might be asked to rate how much they agree with the statement about a university's library. The numbers assigned to each rating would indicate the level of agreement or disagreement, allowing researchers to analyze the data and draw conclusions. Next category of questions that we are using in survey research is filter or contingency questions. They are considered as a valuable tool for researchers to gather specific information. These types of questions allow for more detailed answers by asking follow up questions based on the initial response. For instance, if a researcher wants to understand how frequently someone uses their university's library, they might begin with a question like, have you ever regularly gone to your university's library? This question acts as a filter, and depending on the answer, the researcher can ask additional questions to gather more information. By using filter questions, researchers can obtain more detailed responses. If the person answers yes to the initial question, the researcher can then inquire about the frequency of library visits. They can provide options such as going once a month, twice a month, every week of the month, or every day of the month. This allows for a more comprehensive understanding of the individual's library usage habits. However, it is important for researchers to exercise caution and not overwhelm participants with too many levels of questions. Overwhelming participants with excessive follow up questions may cause them to lose interest in participating. It is important to strike a balance between gathering detailed information and maintaining participant engagement. Next, second category of questions that we are using in survey research is unstructured questions, and these are the commonly used in most of the interviews when the researcher does not have a predetermined list of questions. Instead, they rely on the subject's responses to guide the conversation. These types of questions are typically asked in a more relaxed and informal setting. However, it is important for the researcher to employ certain techniques to ensure they gather the necessary information. One technique is remaining silent, allowing the subject to speak freely without interruption. This encourages them to share their thoughts and feelings openly. Additionally, the researcher should actively encourage the subject to elaborate on their responses, asking for clarification when needed. By doing so, the researcher can have a deeper understanding of the perspective of the subject. Empathy is another crucial aspect of conducting unstructured interviews. The researchers must be sensitive to the emotions and experiences of the subject and avoiding questions that could potentially have a negative impact on them. It is essential to create a safe and comfortable environment where the subject feels respected and understood. When designing a questionnaire or survey, there are several factors that the researcher must consider. Firstly, the question should be clear, specific, relevant, and concise. This ensures that respondents understand what is being asked of them and can provide accurate answers. Secondly, the question should be tailored to the capabilities of the respondents. It is important to avoid using technical terms or complex language that may confuse or intimidate participants. Furthermore, the researcher should strive to maintain objectivity and avoid any bias towards the questions or the respondents. This means crafting questions that are neutral and unbiased, allowing for a fair assessment of the subject matter. By doing so, we can ensure the validity and reliability of the data collected. There are certain advantages and disadvantages of survey research, though these research are very popular method for gathering data because it has various advantages. One of the main advantage is that it's very convenient. That is, it does not require a significant amount of time or money from the researcher. This allows for a larger sample size and more comprehensive data collection. Another advantage is that surveys can be conducted over an extended period of time, enabling researchers to stay updated on any new development or changes related to the topic being studied. Furthermore, survey research also provides an opportunity for researchers to clearly explain the purpose of their study, which encourages participants to provide honest and accurate responses. However, there are also some drawbacks or limitations to consider when utilizing survey research. And one concern is the potential lack of privacy during group interviews, which may hinder participants from providing completely honest answers. This could lead to biased or inaccurate data. Another disadvantage is the risk of losing participants over the course of a long term study. As time goes on, individuals may drop out or become unresponsive, which can impact the accuracy and reliability of the results. Researchers must take measures to minimize participant attrition and ensure the validity of their findings. Next category of quantitative methods are online surveys. This is a subtype of surveys, that is, nowadays online surveys have become increasingly popular as a cost effective method for gathering information from a large group of people. However, researchers must be careful when creating and utilizing online surveys to ensure the accuracy and privacy of the data collected. To achieve reliable results for their research, there are certain guidelines and challenges that researchers need to consider. And one crucial aspect to consider when conducting online survey is the accuracy of the information obtained. Researchers must design their surveys thoughtfully, taking into account factors such as the phrasing of questions, the available answer options, and the length of the survey. By formulating clear and easily understandable questions, researchers can prevent confusion and elicit more accurate responses. Additionally, techniques like randomizing the order of questions and cross checking answers can be employed to enhance the reliability of the data collected. Researchers should also be aware of the potential challenges associated with the online surveys, and one of the challenge is the potential for response bias, where certain groups of people may be more likely to participate or provide biased responses. So, researchers must take a step to mitigate this bias by employing diverse sampling techniques and ensuring the survey is accessible to a wide range of individuals. Additionally, researchers should be mindful of technological limitations and compatibility issues that may affect the survey experience for participants. Privacy is a very important aspect for researchers who are conducting online surveys. So, safeguarding the personal information of survey participants and ensuring its confidentiality is of utmost importance. It is essential for researchers to clearly explain how they will utilize the collected data and assure participants that their identities will remain anonymous. To ensure privacy protection, researchers can employ secure methods for storing and transmitting the data. By prioritizing privacy, researchers not only enhance the safety of survey participants but also instill confidence in the reliability and trustworthiness of the survey. Despite potential challenges, online surveys offer researchers numerous opportunities to gain valuable insights for their research. By adhering to best practices and remaining mindful of the obstacles that may arise, researchers can effectively utilize online surveys to enhance their research and contribute to the existing knowledge. Because through these surveys, researchers can uncover new information, explore different perspectives, and make significant progress in their respective fields. Because online surveys are considered as one of the important powerful tool for generating meaningful findings that can shape future research endeavors. One of the very important aspect of online survey is their accessibility and convenience. Unlike traditional paper based surveys, online surveys can be easily distributed and completed by participants from various locations. This allows researchers to reach a larger and more diverse pool of respondents, thereby increasing the representativeness of their data. Additionally, online surveys also enable researchers to collect data in real time, providing them with immediate access to responses and facilitating prompt analysis. The efficiency and speed of online surveys greatly benefit researchers and enable them to gather data efficiently and expedite the research process. However, it is important for researchers to be aware of potential limitations and biases associated with the online surveys. For example, certain demographics may be overrepresented or underrepresented in online survey samples, leading to skewed results. So, researchers must take steps to mitigate these biases by employing appropriate sampling techniques and ensuring diverse population. Additionally, the reliance on self reported data in online surveys introduces the response bias, as participants may provide inaccurate or incomplete information. So, researchers should implement measures to validate and cross reference the data collected to enhance the reliability and validity. Third category of studies are crossover comparative experimental research studies. These are also known as crossover study or crossover trial. It is a type of longitudinal study where subjects receive different treatments or exposures in a specific sequence. This design is commonly used in various scientific disciplines, including psychology, pharmaceutical science, and medicine. In a crossover trial, each patient is assigned to a sequence of two or more treatments, with one of them potentially being a standard treatment or a placebo. The goal of this design is to compare the effects of different treatments on the same individual, reducing the influence of confounding covariates. One advantage of crossover design is that each patient serves as their own control, minimizing the risk of confounding. This means that the same patient receives both treatment A and treatment B, allowing for a direct comparison of their responses. Additionally, crossover designs can be more efficient than parallel designs, requiring fewer participants to achieve the same level of statistical power or precision. However, crossover designs are not suitable for all conditions. They work best for chronic conditions where there is no cure and the treatments aim to improve quality of life, such as asthma. Crossover designs are particularly useful in bioequivalence trials where the objective is to determine whether different formulations of a drug yield equivalent blood concentration levels. By administering both formulations to each subject, a crossover design allows for a direct comparison of their effects. Crossover comparative experimental design offer several advantages such as reducing confusion and increasing efficiency. However, it is important to plan this carefully, analyze and report the results of these trials to ensure accuracy. In a crossover trial, each participant receives multiple treatments in a specific order with a washout period in between. This allows researchers to directly compare the effects of different treatments within the same person. By eliminating the variability between individuals, these trials provide more reliable and precise results. They can also require fewer participants compared to other study designs, making them cost effective and time efficient. One important consideration of these trials is the washout period, which is the time between treatments to allow any residual effects to dissipate. The length of this period depends on the specific treatment and its duration of action. A longer washout period is necessary for medications with a prolonged effect, while shorter periods may be sufficient for treatments with shorter durations. Properly determining the appropriate washout period is crucial to avoid carryover effects that could confound the results. Another key aspect of crossover trials is randomization. Participants are randomly assigned to different treatment sequences to minimize bias and ensure equal distribution of potential confounding factors. Randomization helps to control for individual differences and increases the validity of the study findings. Additionally, blinding techniques can be employed to further reduce bias by keeping both the participants and the researchers unaware of the treatment order. Analyzing the data from crossover trials requires specialized statistical methods. Since each participant serves as their own control, paired statistical tests are commonly used to compare the treatments. These tests account for the within subject correlation and provide more accurate estimates of the treatment effects. It is essential to choose the appropriate statistical analysis based on the study design and outcome measures to draw valid conclusions from the data. Reporting the results of crossover trials is crucial for transparency and reproducibility. Researchers should provide detailed information about the study design, treatment sequences, washout periods, and statistical analysis used. Clear and concise reporting ensures that other researchers can understand and replicate this study, contributing to the body of knowledge. Transparent reporting also allows clinicians and policymakers to make informed decisions based on the evidence provided by the crossover trials. Next category of studies is blind studies. This study design is important tool for scientific researchers, and this is to reduce bias and ensure reliable results. In a blind or blinded experiment, certain information is withheld from participants until after the experiment is complete. But the researchers know about the treatment group. This helps to eliminate biases that can arise from participants' expectations, observer bias, confirmation bias, and other sources, but they do not prevent biases such as observer bias or confirmation bias. Blinding can be applied to any participant in the experiment, including subjects, researchers, technicians, data analysts, and evaluators. However, there are cases where blinding is not possible or ethical, such as in physical therapy interventions where patients cannot be blinded to their treatment. During the course of an experiment, a participant may become unblinded if they deduce or obtain information that has been masked to them. For example, if a patient experiences a side effect, they may correctly guess their treatment, becoming unblinded. Unblinding can introduce experimental error and reintroduce bias that was eliminated by blinding. So it is recommended that all studies assess and report unblinding, although very few studies actually do so. Blinding is commonly used in many fields of research, particularly in medicine, where it is considered essential. In clinical research, a trial that is not blinded is called an open trial. Blinding techniques can vary, and different levels of blinding can be implemented depending on the study design and practical constraints. Single blind studies involve participants not knowing their treatment group while researchers interacting with them do know. Blinding is important because it helps ensure robust findings and reduces the risk of bias in research studies. Many studies have shown that publications without blinding tend to report greater treatment effects, suggesting overestimation of effects. So, blinding can be implemented at different stages of the experimental process, such as during the conduct of the experiment, result assessment, and analysis of the data. While it may not always be possible to blind all steps, any amount of blinding introduced into the experimental design improves the reliability of the findings. Another category of studies that we are using in quantitative research is double blind studies, and this study design is important method for the scientific investigations, and the basic purpose of using this design is to prevent bias and ensure accurate results. In a double blind study, neither the participants nor the researchers know who is receiving a particular treatment. This is done to avoid demand characteristics, which are subtle cues from researchers that can influence participants' behavior or expectations. By keeping both the participant and the researchers unaware of the treatment assignment, double blind studies help to eliminate biases and ensure that any differences observed between groups can be attributed to the treatment itself. Double blind research design is a crucial aspect of scientific studies, ensuring their validity and accuracy. By keeping both the participants and the researchers aware of who is receiving which treatment, double blind studies eliminate biases and enhance the trustworthiness of the results. This approach is widely used across various research fields to control for any potential bias in the experiment and establish more credible findings. In psychology, double blind studies are commonly used to investigate the effectiveness of new therapies or medications. By randomly assigning participants to either the experimental group or the control group, researchers can compare the outcomes between the two groups without any preconceived notions. This helps to determine whether the therapy or the medication truly has an impact or if it is merely a placebo effect. Double blind studies in psychology play a vital role in advancing our understanding of mental health treatments and interventions. In medical research, double blind studies are essential for testing the safety and efficacy of new drugs. By administering the drug to one group and a placebo to another group, researchers can accurately assess the drug's effects while controlling for any psychological factors. This method ensures that the observed improvements or side effects are genuinely caused by the drug itself and not influenced by the participants' expectations or beliefs. Double blind studies in medicine provide valuable insights into the development of new treatments and contribute to improving patient care. Double blind studies are also prevalent in educational research. For example, when evaluating the effectiveness of a new teaching method, researchers may assign different classrooms to either the experimental or the control condition. By comparing the academic performance of students in both the groups, they can determine whether the new method leads to better learning outcomes. The use of double blind designs in education helps educators make informed decisions about instructional strategies and enhances the quality of education provided to students. Furthermore, double blind studies are utilized in the field of nutrition to examine the effects of dietary interventions. By randomly assigning participants to different diets, researchers can evaluate the impact on various health markers such as cholesterol levels or blood pressure. This approach eliminates biases that could arise from participants knowingly following a specific diet and allows for more accurate conclusions regarding the relationship between diet and health outcomes. Double blind studies in nutrition contribute to evidence based dietary recommendations and promote healthier lifestyles. In social sciences, double blind studies are employed to investigate sensitive topics or behaviors. By ensuring that neither the participants nor the researchers know the true purpose of this study, this design minimizes the risk of social desirability bias or demand characteristics. It allows individuals to respond honestly without fear or judgment or influence. Double blind studies in social sciences shed light on complex human behaviors and contribute to a deeper understanding of societal issues. This is all about the quantitative study designs that we are commonly using. Thank you.